Welcome back to Games Revealed. I'm James and also Brink, and we are one. So today I want to talk about the update that landed about a day or two ago on the Steam Deck, and this has some pretty fun stuff in it actually, including external display stuff, saving your profile performance per game, and also a couple other goodies that are in here. But before we get into it fully, make sure to like, subscribe, and bash that bell with your crowbar, and let's do this. Let's go over some of these updates. I did play with some of them on my Steam Deck, and they seem to work great so far. So I will have to say, some of these updates I think are fixes to things that they fixed earlier. So sometimes when you push out updates too quickly, just as a little note on software development, you can introduce bugs quicker, especially if you don't have good test cases or a testing suite in place. I'm not saying they don't, just saying the faster you push out fixes, the more likely you're going to introduce bugs that are going to cascade down the line that are not visible at the time, that could be not visible for months. And I think some of these fixes here just kind of maybe come from that. Just what I'm thinking. So first up is the screen. That now, if you plug in an external display, it will do a virtual 1280 by 800 resolution starting out. So that should help with some of those issues with external displays. I haven't tested this out yet. I will be testing it out next week with my full-time Steam Deck week 1 challenge with TVs, monitors, and all that stuff. We're gonna see what this little buddy can do with 4K and all that. And it's not gaming; it's gonna be just 4K desktop stuff. So here's to hoping for that. Okay, then next up is the added Steam hardware survey functionality for the Steam Deck, which is going to just allow for better feedback for the Steam Deck, which is really good. Feedback is one of the key things that businesses need to take into account when improving their software for their users. For the players, we have a voice, we want to be heard, and we kind of know what what would make our experience better. And one of those is that performance profile that we're going to get into in a second, because it's vital, and I'm glad that they're doing this. A lot of things that Valve's doing right now with the Steam Deck really indicates that they care about the consumer. So I'm digging that. I know there's a couple of things that are, every business kind of has anti-consumer tendencies at times. It's weird, but at least we're getting a lot of good stuff with the Steam Deck, and nothing seems to be slowing down with these updates. So onto a couple more updates, general updates. I pick and chose kind of what I wanted to talk about on this. If you want a full list, you can check it out in the description below in the source. But onto it. Fixed issue with multiple new Steam inventory items notifications appearing. I know I've witnessed that one. That was an issue where it's not a big issue. It's just annoying. It's a nicety kind of update. They updated the notification system pretty quick early on in the Steam Deck's life, and I think this is a bug that came from that. Once again, speculation, could be wrong. Also, users showing up as favorite even if you're no longer friends is another, just one of those bugs that just it's a use case that just probably doesn't come up too often, but they fixed it. Fixed various issues with dialogues laying out incorrectly with the on-screen keyboard is when it's visible. I've had this bug. I'm glad that they fixed this. This is kind of one of those frustrating things. There's hopefully a couple more bug fixes for the keyboard coming. How it pops up and down. There's just a couple of things that could be fixed in this area. So I'm just glad that they're starting to focus on this a little bit more. Now let's get into the meat of this. The per game performance profiles. You can adjust and save per game things like refresh rates, frames per second limits, and then TDP. So in your games, and I've tested this, it works so far for me. Let's say in a shooter, I want a 40 to maybe even 60 frames per second, depending on what kind of shooter. Doom, and I know it drains your battery, but if I can get Doom at 60, like Doom Eternal and the Doom 2016, it is an amazing experience, and it's worth it because it's so fast and fluid. But in other shooters, I want it to be more maybe a 40 frames per second, like a BioShock, or stuff that's maybe not as quick, but still I want those reaction times just to be a little quicker than 30. And I love this, that I don't have to just I've been defaulting everything to 40, and I really want profiles for each game. Now I'm hoping that they have default profiles coming out soon, and then also community profiles. But this is a great start. RPGs, once again, 2D or turn-based or just slower RPGs at 30 is awesome. And then JRPGs, stuff that's a little quicker at 40 is my sweet spot. And then I found a bug with my emulator system with EmuDoc deck, that is. When using N64 emulator with it, it tends to have audio issues if you cap the frames or the refresh rate. I'm assuming some type of bug that's tied into the game loop with the refresh rate is probably at play here. When I uncapped and in fact, to be honest, it was weird too, because I've had it capped for a while at 40, and it worked initially, but every time I tried to play it again, it had these audio issues. I uncapped it and it worked fine at 60. I'm not sure what that's going to do to battery. I could mess with some other things like TDP, and that will help with that battery issue. But just a note that for like the emulator system, this is nice, because then I don't have to go back and forth and switching and everything when I go from my fast-paced games or my RPGs to my emulators. And I love this. This has been a feature that's going to be just a nice little thing to help players switch between games, and it's been greatly requested, and I'm glad that they're listening to us. That means that I think we're going to be getting just a lot more feature requests in the future that players and users want that Valve can accommodate. So I'm excited. And also, just with this, you can toggle it on and off in the quick access menu. It's really easy. And really, there's no downside so far that I've noticed from this feature being added. Hopefully no bugs come from it. So cross your fingers. Okay. Online, offline modes have been greatly improved. Performance when switching from offline to online mode. Improved availability of home screen sections when switching from offline to online modes. And fixed friends continuing to show as online when Steam is disconnected or switches to offline mode. And I've witnessed that one before where I'm like, where my internet's gone out, and I'm like, oh, I guess people were still online, but they weren't because I wasn't online. So it's these are just niceties that it's nice that they were fixed. Not the biggest deal for me personally, but it's gonna make for an all-around very just smooth experience. And so these are kind of the smoothing out the edges of the whole Steam Deck client issues. Okay, with that, the keyboard has various fixes for just like some foreign keyboards and whatnot. But the ones that I've noted are they corrected the interaction between caps lock and shift, which I had never run into that issue too much, or really at all. And then they also added non-ASCII characters they made it so that it works in desktop mode. And so hopefully that fixes some issues that people were having in desktop mode that I've read about with bugs. Okay, controllers. They removed, this is the weird one. This is the one where I've seen mixed, well, I don't know about mix. I know that a bunch of the community didn't like this one. They removed the rumble and haptics toggles from the quick access menu and put it into the settings controller settings page. And it's not a big deal to me. I don't actually adjust that very often. So this doesn't bother me. And to be honest, the settings and the quick access are fairly quick for me to access. It's a potato kind of thing with this. I know some people didn't like that. I don't bother with those settings very often, so it's not going to affect me personally. And then they moved to reorder controller buttons to the other section in the quick access menu, which I didn't notice. There's a couple of things, like I didn't even notice the profile thing being updated initially until I really got thinking. I'm like, wait, what is that? Some of these updates are very subtle, and I would miss some of these if it wasn't for these updates. So thanks, Steam. Okay, and then remote play. They added stop streaming option to the power menu when hosting a remote play session. And this is nice for me because I do some recordings of my games from my Steam Deck onto my PC. And if it's just easier for me to kill the session on the Steam Deck than it is to quit or to just tab out of the game of the remote play on the PC and then stop. It's once again a nicety. It's not like a must-have, but it's cool that they've added this. And I think for some other situations, it's going to be even much more nice. Just for my situation, it was nice. So that's it for the updates. The biggest one being that per game performance profile system, and I love it. That is definitely like the king of features in this update so far. And I really hope that they continue doing these types of features where they just really make the experience just smooth and easy. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of these updates. What are you excited for the performance profiles? I think they're really kick-ass so far. So with that being said, make sure to watch my other videos and I'll check you guys later. Peace out. Later.